It is different.
It is different. I don't like it. They updated it twice.
Damn updates.
They've updated 4 times in 2 days.
Yeah, I think she's on.
Hello?
Hello?
Is it turned up? Is her volume up?
Uh,
You know how? It's not on that one. It's on this one. Her volume. Remember?
yeah.
Yeah. Is she
Hello?
up?
Can you hear us?
Hello?
There you are.
Yay!
Yeah. I'm so happy you're on. I don't even understand.
Yeah, we've been through it all. Now, how do I say this? Tau Tia L. Douglas.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's right.
Tau Tia L. Douglas. Okay, just make sure I got all that in there.
She's from Sweden.
That's awesome. Sweden is great. It feels like Sweden here today. 25 degrees and snow.
Very cold.
It's lovely. No Halloween for us. We're going straight to Christmas.
How are things in Sweden, Tao?
Tao is the title, by the way, and I'm actually British, but I live in Sweden.
Okay,
Awesome.
so Tau is a title, so I should call you Tia L. Douglas and not Tau, right?
Yeah. Or just Tia.
Tia is good.
That way people don't go, where the heck are we? Tico Taco Bar. All right,
Don't
here we
say
go.
that, Todd. That's not nice.
Well, people are crazy out there. Okay, here we go. We do have a sense of humor on the show, but we do take subjects very serious. All right, here we go. So let me know when you're ready, Amanda, and we'll start doing this
All
thing.
right, I'm going to count you down. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go.
And welcome back to Nightwatch.
It's been a while, Todd.
We have risen from the grave. Chris Weisbach, my wonderful co-host.
Oh, love you, dude.
I love you, man.
Yeah.
And Alex Brotherton, my other wonderful co-host.
Hello, I love you guys too.
It's really weird, too, because you guys are like brothers to me. You're like my brother that's the same age.
Probably the older brother.
Maybe a little. But Alex is like the younger
I
brother.
thought I was going to be the older brother.
Oh, well, you can be the older brother, dude.
Yeah. Excited about being back. Just super excited.
Yeah.
It's like crazy cool.
Oh, we love it. I
Yeah.
mean, we were so excited to get back into the game. I mean,
Yeah, rocking.
Yeah.
Rocking harder and heavier and better than before, right?
that's my wish.
That's the plan.
Yep.
That's what we're going to do. Let me start off real quick before we go to our guests. I want to ask everyone something. I've been pretty upset all week. Been pretty upset. Let me tell you why. Of course, you guys go, I know, Todd. Every show you're upset.
Todd's upset about everything.
Well, there's a reason, okay? I have a perfectly logical reason to be upset, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Everybody's trying to cancel Halloween, okay? Every school is trying to cancel Halloween, and now all these people are griping about Halloween costume shops like Spirit. They're like, we should shut these down. And and the people that are saying that are, and I don't understand all this yet, okay? But I do understand the gender thing is going crazy and all this. These people are I can't remember the name of them. They're the ones in the Dead Center, okay? Something SCEN, Dead Center, and they don't like Halloween shops because all the costumes are for either boys or girls.
Huh.
And I'm like, be a hot dog, or is that too much like a penis?
I don't understand why can't, I don't know, you just have the costumes. They don't necessarily, you can just buy a costume. I don't know.
Be a toilet bowl.
Why does it, yeah, I don't know. When I walk into a costume store, I don't feel like they have, I mean, some of them are obviously.
Or you could be Captain Marvel. That's all of the above.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. You just gotta have a bunch of Disney characters.
Well, the thing with Captain Marvel's been a boy, a girl, and an alien and everything. So.
Oh, no, you mean like canonically, like within the comics. No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, might as well. You can be anything, you know. And I'm thinking, well, why not just be a werewolf? Because werewolves can be anything.
You know, actually, I did see an article. I think people got mad in Florida. Maybe it was. Maybe it was. It was about parents got mad because there were bride.
Right, a bride.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
That happened actually overseas.
That's where it was.
Yeah, but that made me mad as hell too. Because
I thought that was weird. Yeah.
Who cares? It's a child's Halloween costume. Let her be a bride. It doesn't imply anything. She's not going to get knocked up at 6.
It's just supposed to be pretend. Yeah. It's just pretend.
They're adding. Like my daughter got knocked up at 16, and she didn't even wear a bride costume.
That's awesome.
But I'm really honest. I mean, this is getting out of hand. And then these schools are like, well, it's not all inclusive. We got to do this. We got to do that. Oh, Jesus. Can we just go back to enjoying our lives? I mean, everyone's offended by everything. So I want to make sure on Nightwatch, now that we're reborn, that we offend every damn body.
Reborn, baby.
Let's just do it. But we'll talk about this more later because I want to get your take because we're all different generations.
Yeah.
And I want to see if Alex agrees that it's out of control, or if Alex is like, no, man, genders are cool. Let's have 952
I
genders.
think Halloween was a lot different when we were kids.
It was.
For sure.
I didn't have to worry about the alphabet people. I could just enjoy Halloween. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything now.
We had to worry
everyone's
about the
offended.
razor blades and
You could enjoy
corn,
a lot of stuff.
popcorn
Yeah.
balls, but
Alex wishes he could be with us when we were at Halloween, just so we could have a crazy
Actually,
time.
I don't know. Back in your day, kidney stone operations weren't as advanced as
That's
they
true.
are now, and I've had quite a few kidney stones. So
That's true. That's
thank you, Alex. That's
We'll just
great.
take you back in a time machine just to Halloween, and then we'll come back.
yeah, that sounds.
That's how it works.
All
Well,
right.
tonight on the show, I'm pretty excited because this is something really cool. Finding out your personality through your blood type. This is something I actually haven't heard.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of like numerology and all these different things, but
Ugh.
blood type. Now, maybe that's why Dracula's so good at reading people, because he drinks so many people's blood, he immediately knows what kind of personality they are by smelling it out.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But I'm excited because T.L.L. Douglas is here with us tonight. Tia, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. Explain to our friends worldwide exactly what the heck is this ability to know people's personalities through their blood types.
I was writing a book about genetics and anthropology, and through that I was talking about Reese's negative blood. I was getting to know the different types of blood that everybody had who I was communicating with, and I started to notice patterns in people's personalities, and it was quite strong, the differences, and I could start to predict which blood type a person was just from talking to them. So,
Wow,
yes.
that's pretty.
Yeah, and this is Chris, but specifically the Rh negative blood type, is that something special in your opinion, or not?
Well, it's not a case of it being special, it's just different. Whereas most people who do blood type personalities don't even consider the Rh factor, I actually have a completely separate 4 set of personalities based on the Rh factor as well.
I'm loving this. This is something else. So, like, without ever meeting someone, they just tell you, hey, this is my blood type. And I don't even know mine. I can't even remember. It tells you how bad it is. I should know it after.
I don't know either, actually. But, yeah.
You're an A something.
Thanks a lot. Man, a lot of people call me
He's
that.
definitely an A something.
No, honestly though, I think it's I think this is fascinating because I think it's really cool that you clear across the globe you can tell someone's personality just by their blood type, and the fact that you've studied this enough to see a pattern like this, it's kind of mind-boggling actually.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because you do see the same personalities over and over again with the different blood types. It's quite spooky how accurate it can be.
So, like, now this is a personality type, but it doesn't necessarily mean good or bad or whatever. Like you couldn't just like check out someone's blood type and go, that's going to be the next Charlie Manson. It's different than that, right? It's more of just a personality type, like some kind of something. How would you even tell that? It's not like a good or evil thing.
I know it's not good or evil. It's like a bit similar to the Myers-Briggs personality types, where you have certain characteristics from each personality type, and you can kind of predict somebody's behaviour, but you can't predict if somebody's going to murder somebody or anything like that.
Right.
At the Minority Report stages.
That's right. Not there.
People have contemplated, UFO researchers, that the Rh negative is like a genetic conversion from alien interference.
DNA.
Interference, yeah. Have you heard that, Mia?
Yeah,
Tia.
I have heard that, yes. I think it's a load of rubbish myself, but each to their own.
That's right. Little gray people didn't come down and throw some RH at people.
No, you got the whole Bible code stuff. And,
Yeah. That is
know.
true. There's a lot of different codes with that. Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, I kind of see Tia's point where it's like, man, come on, ET phone home. It's
right.
I don't get that. But I do think that it's really exciting that you have basically the ability to go through and kind of figure out if it's even someone that you're going to want to talk to or get involved with or anything, because you can already tell their personality type from that.
I wonder if it has any. Are there any matchmaking capabilities to it, like a dating service where you give your blood to someone?
That's kind of a cool question there, actually, Tia. What do you think of that? Can you kind of tell if people are going to be compatible by this blood type deal?
With the RH factor, it's really important, really, that you should only, if you're going to have children, you should really be with another RH negative, because otherwise there could be problems. So it is always better to be with your own type if possible.
Wow, now that's interesting. I wonder why that is. So what's going to go wrong if you have a plus and a negative? Are we going to turn into some kind of crazy person? What's going to happen?
If a positive male will have a baby with a negative female, the baby might come out positive, and that could cause trouble for the mother rather than the baby. Or the baby could, and then the other way around, it could be that the child is negative and the mother is positive, and that could cause trouble for the child, because it could get some of the mother's positive blood into its system, which could be very bad news and kill it.
No. We're talking about death here. Okay, I got you.
The first child through a mixed couple can usually be born okay, but then the mother's body builds up antibodies, and it will cause the child to die. It attacks it. It actually sees it as a foreign object.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes more sense, because when you said it could be very bad, I'm picturing like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Like 1 minute they're in a classroom, and the next minute they're throwing knives.
I was picturing just a very ugly person.
That's what I was saying. Bill Bixby is going to turn into the Incredible Hulk. But that is wow. So that makes a lot more sense. Yeah,
antibodies,
it's actually a health issue. Yeah.
Well, let's go to a happier subject. Tell us a little bit about
Baby dying isn't happy enough for you, Chris?
No. I want to hear about the Serpent Bloodline.
Yeah.
And Mary Magdalene and the history of her in your perspective as related to Christ, right?
Wow.
So that's really the main subject here. So let's go there if we can.
Okay. Mary Magdalene and Jesus were actually Gnostics, not nothing to do with Jewishness or Christian. Well, obviously Christianity came about after Jesus, but all religions are based on Gnosticism and astrotheology. And Judaism was based on the age of Aries. So they have the ram, what do they call it, the shofar thing that they blow, the ram horn. And then when that religion ended, they moved into the age of Pisces, which is Christianity, and that's why they call Jesus the Fisher King, and he has a fish as his symbol because it's Pisces.
Right.
Oh.
So these people who in the past were enlightened they sort of thought Jesus was an enlightened person, so they would use his image to set up the new religion for the new age of Pisces. It doesn't necessarily mean he was any different to anybody else, other than he had done the great work, which is a spiritual thing where you come to know yourself, you know. So it wasn't anything. He wasn't any different. He wasn't a god or anything like that. He was just a man.
Okay.
Basically an inspiration, kind of.
Yeah, like philosophizer.
But what about Mary?
Well, she was his teacher.
Okay. So she wasn't like a who was the prostitute? Which one was the prostitute?
No,
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
They say that she was a prostitute, but that's because they don't understand what the Great Rite is about. And the Great Rite is about tantric sex, where the female passes some of her energy to the male, and that causes his kundalini to rise, up his spine and causes enlightenment.
I think your Kundalini just rose, Chris. You better watch yourself. But you know what, Chris, as you well know, Mary Magdalene, if she was a prostitute, could also be a teacher.
Oh no, that's the premise. But well, no, I agree.
Chris is very red.
I'm giving you such a but I love this because this is really great. So Mary Magdalene was his teacher, but they got it wrong when they wrote about her, when they called her a prostitute, because they didn't understand the actual language or the actual
right
what she was actually doing.
I think, did Jesus have children? That's what I'm kind of leaning
You're
towards.
You're jumping all over the place here. I'm still on Mary Magdalene. I'm enjoying finding out about her because shit's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
To hear that she, because people just didn't understand who she was. That's what I think is really cool. Tia, what kind of elaborate just a little bit before we jump to the children of Jesus.
All right. Well, yeah.
That Chris is hoping are alien grays. Let's take for a second and go back to Mary Magdalene. I'm really excited about this because do you think it's maybe just because they didn't understand her role or what she was to Jesus, and that's why they called her that? Or was it maybe just because people were jealous of her in those days? What do you think it was?
Well, it's a case of there's been certain males who've tried to run things from the start, really, and they don't like it when women have any kind of power.
Hear, hear. That's true, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes, they made up this whole thing about her to basically degrade her image, to defame her reputation.
Isn't that basically what the whole Bible does in itself?
I think that's what Facebook does every day.
Everything does that. Just tells the story that needs to be told for somebody else's benefit.
Right, and it was a very male-centric, if you notice, and in some ways it still is, unfortunately. I'm not going to get into that side pocket, but yeah, the fact that this powerful woman was now, her reputation was decimated and turned into this other thing just because people couldn't support or understand her power. I think that's ridiculous.
No, I agree, but I want to get more into her relationship with Jesus.
All right, here we go. We're going. We're going down the road, Chris, just for you.
Yeah,
all right, Tia.
I think we should go down that road and actually try to get some clarification on, where was Mary Magdalene in Jesus's, life?
Well, she would be equivalent to how a man and wife today.
So that's all. She was just a wife.
Not just a wife. I guess in those days they didn't have the traditional religious marriage ceremonies. It was more like a hand fasting.
Gotcha.
And and they did have children.
And when I say just a wife, I wasn't trying to demean wives because I think wives are much smarter than the husbands usually. but I meant it in the way that that's what her role was, and people took it so wrong. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so she was,
and they did have children.
Yes.
Okay.
How many?
6.
Wow.
And this runs into the Serpent bloodline, correct? So.
Well, yeah, they were of the Serpent bloodline.
What exactly does that mean? That makes me think of the Church of Set when I hear stuff like that. What exactly is the Serpent bloodline? Explain that to our friends, because I'm sure everyone's going, what is that?
That particular bloodline had the serpent as their symbology. They weren't literally serpents or reptiles like David Icke says. It was a case of on their family crests and coats of arms they had salamanders, dragons, serpents, and it was all to do with the fact about this symbolism of the Kundalini energy when you're enlightened.
Gotcha. Yeah. So when you say the secrets of the serpent or the serpent bloodline or anything like that, it makes me almost go back to the Garden of Eden and that whole lineage from that time. So that's why because they're supposedly children of the serpent were the original, mankind, because they were tainted and changed by the serpent, quote unquote, all that biblical stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's why I really wanted to know, because it's kind of the serpent bloodline. It almost sounds like something kind of from a cool medieval movie.
No, yeah, I was actually thinking Harry Potter. I just,
Slytherin.
No, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
Slytherin, yeah.
That's pretty cool. But yours is the closest because they have the symbolism and everything. So that's
that they really go deep into blood relations too in Harry Potter. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh no, yeah, that's yeah.
Tells you what I know.
Can you trace that lineage all the way to today with the bloodline?
Oh yeah.
So Jesus has great grandkids running around, and one of them hopefully is not Donald Trump.
It could be me, or you,
It could be.
or Alex,
It could be.
or Amanda. We just don't know, right? So, I mean, how?
Well, Tia might know. She might know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the families do know.
The families do, but
Yeah.
now you yourself, are you privy to that information, or they kind of kept you out of that?
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm not going to press you to tell me.
Why not?
Because I know.
Yeah, I want to know.
If she wanted to tell us, it would have already been told.
Well, I guess I'm wondering how many descendants.
Well, it's got to be 16 or 17, right?
Even more, maybe.
1,000?
Yeah.
No.
There are about 10,000 bloodline families who are
That-
members of the bloodline family today. About
Wow.
10,000.
10,000 people.
You could fill
but
one
not that
stadium.
many generations. So,
Right.
No, yeah, but
Still,
yeah, no,
wow.
that makes sense because it was such a long time ago, and he had
Right.
6 kids, and if they all had kids, yeah,
Someone was busy.
they were all busy.
Yeah. That's something else.
Love.
Well, and I love that. I love the fact that they're still around today. And is this true of a lot of bloodlines? Do you find? And let me ask you this: and I don't know if you use the Bible in any of this at all, because it seems like your version completely kind of kicks the Bible version out. But if all bloodlines came from one bloodline, that seems like a little mind-boggling to me that now there's so many different bloodlines. How do you, when you trace something back, how do you find where the bloodline originated, and does it all lead back to one source, or does it lead back to many sources? And to add to that question, which is a pain, I know, a lot of people say that some of our lineage comes from, like, maybe not just other areas of the earth, but maybe even visitors to the earth, going back to Chris's alien thing. The Egyptians and the Toltecs and the Aztecs and all these people that had this amazing technology.
and Mayans.
Right, and the Mayans. I was getting ready to go there.
No, you weren't.
Does this all lead to these same places? Does it all go to one bloodline, or are these all maybe different bloodlines from different beings?
Well, if you go far back enough, we're all from. The Earth was seeded from a star, a dying sun. So, you could say in that case that we're all aliens in a way, because what are the building blocks of life on Earth are from a dying sun. So, but if you do go far back enough, the first bloodline was the Serpent bloodline. But they decided when they saw they were evolved from aquatic apes rather than land apes, and it was in the Tigris region in it's now called Iran.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then as they spread out further into the earth, they found some land apes that were sort of a bit like chimps or apes or gorillas are today, and they decided that they would try and mix some of their genes with these apes, and that's what created the Adams and the Eves. It wasn't an Adam and an Eve; it was Adams and the Eves.
Okay.
Oh, so like Neanderthals. That's why they say Neanderthals are like us, similar to a lot of us, but not exactly the same.
Right. Or Cro-Magnon, any of those type of people. Yeah.
Yeah, because I heard I don't know.
Well, they're missing a chromosome or two, right?
Like I've heard that some people have DNA of like Neanderthals and some people don't.
Right. It goes back.
Which I always, when I was a kid, I thought that everyone it was just like a straight line. It wasn't like mixing and,
right. And I kind of thought as a kid maybe they're both right because you have both theories, the creationism versus the evolution. And I thought, well, maybe there's a little bit of truth in both of them.
I never really thought that, what's before the Big Bang then?
Well, in creationism, if you go down the road, almost sounds like test tube babies. So it's kind of, it just depends on how you look at it. If you look at it scientifically, it's like, okay, well, these test tube babies, Adam and Eve. But then you look at it from the evolutionary standpoint, it's like, okay, well, they evolved from these things. But then I always had the weird thing as a kid.
Or the religious aspect, right?
And Tia's version makes more sense to me because as a kid, I was always banging my head into the wall saying, if we evolved from apes, then there wouldn't still be apes because of the way evolution works. Like if you're a tadpole and then you're a frog, you're no longer a tadpole.
Well, sometimes depending on the environment and the situation, one species will branch off into multiple.
That's true. Yeah. It's kind of, but then the original species doesn't exist anymore in that environment. So that's why I'm like, it's so weird to me. It didn't make sense.
No, yeah. No,
but her version makes more sense to me. Yeah.
Tia, where do you find all this information that you've gotten? Like, have you just looked it up and learned it, or is there a certain source that you go to?
It's been passed down through the family.
Wow. So your relatives were also, basically before their time, like forensic scientists here, learning about blood and the bloodlines. That's pretty cool.
Well, they were a lot more advanced than you talk about Neanderthals. That was actually what the Serpent bloodline is, and it might sound strange to you because of how you've been lied to about how unintelligent Neanderthals are supposed to be. But they were actually the most advanced first humans and extremely intelligent compared to the land apes that they found and gave some of their genes to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So Neanderthals were the
aquatics.
The aquatics. Okay, that's super interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I'm glad I've studied so much and paid attention in school.
It's true. Well, I always liked it because, and I always believed that they were smarter than they appeared to be, just because it seems like a lot of times, for some reason, our modern age and our modern sciences and the way they teach us in school, they kind of want to look down on ancient civilizations. But the more we learn about ancient civilizations, the more we see, man, they were brilliant. I mean, the science was there, the technology was there. And I believe with Neanderthals, all the discoveries they made, they had to be intelligent beings.
Well, I have a confession to make. I've never
you're
heard
Neanderthal?
of a...
Yes.
I've never heard of an aquatic ape.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I've never heard of that.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
I mean, is that like, I don't know. Do you believe in any of the Atlantis stuff?
There will be cities under the sea that were advanced because Serpent bloodline people built civilizations all over the world, and if you talk to the people who know about the past, they'll always say it was the Serpent people who came and built this, and they were fair-skinned and they had red hair and blue eyes, or blonde hair and blue eyes. They'll never say that they looked the same as them.
Wow.
And they even used to bind their skulls to make them elongated, like a Neanderthal skull, in some of their civilizations, to try and emulate the ones who they thought were like gods, because they had this advanced technology that they brought to them.
I actually knew about that. Yeah, about the trying to change the shape of the skull and all that. I remember reading stuff about that. I didn't know it was tied in like that. That's pretty amazing. All this is pretty mind-boggling stuff when you really look at it.
You can get into the Templars, right?
Yeah.
And their evolution in North America.
Now, the Templars probably knew all this. Tia, did the Templars know all this information?
Well, the real Gnostic Templars that do, yes.
Wow.
Not the fake Christian Templars that came later.
Right. That's cool because, the Knights Templar. That's pretty neat because it seems to me like a lot of maybe groups that we're taught are pagan or we're taught are, is clandestine or whatever.
Yeah, they're not pagan at all.
No, they probably know all this stuff, and that's why it seems a lot of times I feel like the church, like the Christian church, tries to suppress so much information,
right,
for whatever reason, for maybe it's an agenda issue or whatever. But I do feel like in a situation like that, like you have all these ancient groups that know this information, and no one else is allowed to have it. That's kind of crazy. So Tia, I'm glad that you're able to do this. Of course, they probably don't, like, the Christian community probably paints this as blasphemy, but it's how do people receive this information when you're giving it to them or when they read your book? How do you get the reception of it? How does that seem to you?
I've had so much trouble over the stuff I've put out because I was basically told you shouldn't do this, people aren't ready to hear it. And for thousands of years, our families have hidden because we've been burnt at the stake, tracked down, and, told we're not allowed to tell anybody this stuff. And they basically want us to be wiped out completely so that we can't say anything about it. But, yeah, I've had so much trouble. There's a certain organisation. When I told you about the Adams and the Eves, some of the Serpent bloodline males decided that they wanted to breed with these new females, and that created another line that was more pure than the Adams and Eves, and that was the formation of the eagle bloodline. Now, it sounds silly, but they use eagle. Everywhere you see an eagle, it's that bloodline that are in control, and they've wanted to hide this truth because to them it hurts them to know that they are not the ones, the originals, they're hybrids.
And certainly the Eagles would go back to the Knights Templar for sure, right? I mean,
well, I'm even thinking the Native Americans. It was all about the Eagles. Everything.
True.
Painted everywhere. It was on everything. It was on the side of their teepees.
No, I agree.
Yeah, everywhere. So what's up with the Eagles? With the Native Americans?
Well, they did wipe out the Serpent bloodline from the Americas when they got there. They called us giants. Red-headed monsters and tried to kill us all off, and in fact I think they actually did. Some of them still have some of the hair woven into their outfits, the red hair that they got from these giants. Well, when you think about how big a Neanderthal would look compared to a native American, because they're Asian, aren't they? They're from Asia. They moved over from Asia to America. And they're quite small people. So a big, tall, white person with big limbs and everything would look like giants to them.
Oh, there's plenty of evidence of them discovering giant bones of humans, all over North America. I mean, just recently we've had huge discoveries of giants. I
was hoping those were Wookiees.
No jokes.
No, I agree.
Serious.
I agree.
This is horrifying to know.
It is horrifying, but it's also.
I don't think it's horrifying. It's very interesting.
Well, the horrifying part is that
genocide.
The genocide of an entire bunch of people just because they had serpent blood. That's kind of awful.
No, definitely. I mean that seems to happen a lot throughout history.
It does. It seems like there's this group and they don't want the truth out, or they feel inferior and they have to just take out
pride.
People. Yeah,
a lot of pride.
A lot of arrogance.
Is what it sounds like.
It's awful. Well, I'm sorry that your family's been suppressed for so many years. That's awful to you. But at the same time, I'm glad that you're out there doing this work and bringing this to the public.
Oh, we love it. Yeah.
There's so much to touch on. I wish, I don't know.
You could get into the Cup of Christ, the Holy Grail.
Yeah, tell me a bit about that.
Oak Island. You have any info on Oak Island?
Just took off with my Grail. I wanted to know about the Grail.
Well, the Grail was Mary Magdalene. She was the first, because they said her womb was the Grail, the Holy Grail, because she produced the bloodline children.
How the heck did King Arthur go looking for that?
I think we're getting a little mixed up here, maybe.
That's
go ahead,
really
Tia.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, they do the search for the Grail because they want to find the Bloodline.
I gotcha. So when they said when they, because apparently there's some truth to the King Arthur legend about the search for the Grail, and if they were searching for this and it actually was a woman who I'm sure was deceased by that point, what were they looking for? Were they trying to find her remains?
The Bloodline, the children.
I gotcha.
Descendants.
Yeah. That's so interesting. It's like the legend is almost interpreted wrong.
Right. Because I'm sitting here thinking about a cup.
Yeah, literally. Instead
it's
of
not the cup, right? It's the line. It's the bloodline.
Bloodline.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Can I just say this though? During our ceremonies, we have a chalice which represents the womb, and the sword that goes into it represents the penis.
Well, there you go.
That's awesome.
There you go.
I mean, was there an actual cup of Christ that may have been collected or hoarded by the Knights Templar?
No, it's most of this stuff is all allegory, and it's basically just to fool people into thinking things are different to they actually are. It's like you see all these pictures of knights slaying the dragon. And they've got eagles on their armour. Why do you think that is? It's because they're thinking they're slaughtering the bloodline of that they don't want people to know about.
So King Arthur was going to go out and kill a bunch of people.
Well, the weird thing, this kind of ruins Excalibur completely. But the weird thing about it is that it all kind of makes sense when you really look at it through this viewpoint of, because you go through, it is true. They're always, St. George is always, taking out the dragon and, things like that. And especially in European lore and everything seems to be tied into, always the holy knights taking out the bad dragons and the serpents.
I agree completely. It could very well be that the,
it's all symbolic.
Yeah, it's all symbolic. The cup of Christ was not the cup of Christ. It was the feminine aspect of Christ.
No, I like that a lot because I love, looking at, because I just feel like writers in general always kind of have some kind of point they're trying to get across.
Even the Bible itself is full of parables and this and that. I mean, we're not really a beast with 7 heads cruising around.
Well, if it's supposed to be a guidebook and all this, the Bible, then according to your interpretations, Tia, where does that leave, like, other people, like other bloodlines, and what's the end game?
The reason why they've created these religions and made it so that all the men are in the power positions is because women are the ones who enlighten people. Like I've told you, it's the symbolic great rite with the chalice and the sword. It is the great rite is the thing that enlightens the male. And the more enlightened people there are in the world, the less they will need them and their religions, and it gives them power to have these religions where you give them money and go to them for your spirituality. If they're discovered that it's all nonsense and set up around astrotheology and that you've been lied to all along, it's going to make people very angry and they're going to turn against them. And there's only a small amount of them and a hell of a lot of people. So as soon as people know, they're not going to stand for it anymore.
There's truth to that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it scares me sometimes, though, because sometimes I feel like people can be really dug into their own version of reality, and even if it is silly to other people, for them, it's a part of them almost. So for them to change their mind on this particular subject, they've already invested so much of themselves into it.
Yeah.
That, like, I don't know, kind of like a pride thing we were talking about, admitting that they're wrong.
Yeah,
cognitive dissonance.
Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And it's like a self-prophecy, like everyone's expecting Armageddon and all that.
And then they're making it happen.
I swear, my whole life we've been waiting for the end, the world to end every day.
Dinner table.
I hear that about every generation.
But that goes back to the end of time.
Yeah. It does. Well, it's also, there's so many people you meet in religion who you say the sky is blue, the sky is blue. No, it's not. It's purple with polka dots. Mm-hmm. The sky is blue. It's obviously blue. It's purple polka dots, because they absolutely cannot change their opinion. This is how they were born and raised. We were born and raised Baptists. You cannot live your life. And it's like you cannot change their philosophies or their minds or what they believe. No matter if you have to show. Even if look, I've said it before. Even if they were sitting at a bar stool and Jesus came up and sat down and said, "You're an idiot, you're doing it all wrong," they still wouldn't believe it. They'd say, "You're an imposter," and slap him in the face and leave. Right. Because they can't handle anything different than their own small box that they see life in. And in order to understand what Tia is saying, or anybody for that matter that has different philosophies, you have to open your mind to it. You have to be like, "Hey, I'm not tied to this. I'm open to trying to find out the truth of the universe." For me personally, I want to find out any way I can what is the real meaning of life in the universe and what's going on out there. And I believe in the circle of life, the thread that goes through the universe. I do
as well.
Things connected. So I see that this ties into that even more.
Sure.
So that's really cool, Tia. I really appreciate that, because it really does kind of, a lot of the things that we try to talk about on the show, all joking aside, it really does tie into that, the thread of life that connects everything together. And
I think it all boils down to the divine phenomenon. That is a concept that, goes through nature, religion, the entire deal.
Religion, I think, is man-made, so it's something that goes through mankind, and then they turn it into like a religion, so to speak.
Tia, your thoughts?
Yeah, the divine feminine is the key to freeing people from this slavery that they're under through this eagle bloodline, because people actually think it's normal to live how we do now in this how you say it's like a prison without being in a cage, because you're taught from when you're a child that you have to when you grow up you have to pay taxes and go to work and do this and do that to fit in, and they don't realise that all the other animals on the planet don't pay tax and have to do these things. But if you want to live on a piece of land, you have to do what they say. Otherwise, you can't.
Right.
As humans, we are not allowed to live on the planet without paying them taxes and without giving them what they want, which is like basically a life of slavery to them.
It is.
Is that our curse as humans?
No, it has become our curse, because there are certain people who run everything, and you might not think they're connected. You might think that the US was free when they got independence from the British Empire, but they never did, because it's all run from Switzerland, and all of it, that the World Bank, everything is run from Switzerland by the same bloodline families that have been running it for thousands of years.
All right, consider my mind blown. That's pretty kick-ass.
No, I mean, it makes sense, because America is extremely male,
it's all about
we're like the capital of male toxicity.
You think it is? I mean,
a lot of the Middle East too. A lot of the Middle East.
Yeah, very fair point, big time. Yeah, but
I think even in a lot of the Asian countries now, they're still very. It's like the females always pushed down.
Yeah,
and I think this is pretty cool, and I think it's kind of interesting too, because a lot of times these cells of people who are fighting against government regimes or whatever are named after females, like ISIS came out of nowhere. I don't even know. One day there was no ISIS, the next day there's ISIS. It's named after a female, which also, even though it may not be like something where someone knows why it was named that. Someone gave it that name, and I'm sure there was symbolism involved in that too.
No, yeah, and that makes me think about America as a whole and how much we worship the eagle. Like, I'm pretty sure the eagle is like a extremely protected in America, but it's not an endangered species anymore.
Here, God, they almost killed it here in Missouri. But I absolutely love eagles as creatures. As
I love all the creatures.
Yeah, but I also like serpents. I like it all. So.
That's what I was going to say. I like the snakes too. I like them all.
As far as bloodlines go, this all makes perfect sense. Tia, we are running low on time, and I want to make sure we get all your information in here for all of our friends who want to check it out. Let's talk about your book and how people can do more research into your work.
Right, well, I have the book called Secrets of the Serpent Bloodline. That one is basically got so much information in it. I made the book because I was getting asked so many questions all the time, and I was having to repeat myself so many times. So I just said, right, I'm going to put it in a book, then say, here it is, it's in the book. So that's why I made the book. And it's also got the stuff about the Gnostic Templars and Mary Magdalene. It's got origins, DNA, genetics, blood types. It's even got a section about how to start the great work yourself, like certain meditations and things that allow you to connect with your own genetic memories, which will help you to understand all this stuff yourself without even needing me to tell you it. So there's all kinds in that book. And then there's the personality one, the blood type personality, a guide to the inner you. So that one helps with you can get to know more about your friends and family and yourself just by, looking into their personality types and stuff. So that's quite interesting.
That is. It's awesome. And the website is thealchemistslaboratory.com. Is that right?
I have that website, yes. I've got a little shop on there, but I have serpentbloodline.info as well.
Oh, cool. Excellent, because I know our friends are going to want to know more about this. And once you've been on Nightwatch, you're part of the family, so we'd love to have you come back on and talk a little bit more about this, or anytime you have something new going on, let us know. We'd love to have you back, because this is fascinating, and I want to really thank you. Not only that, you've got a great accent, okay? My favorite band in the world is Iron Maiden, and I'm like sitting over here imagining you say Iron Maiden. Because I just want to, I love it.
We love the accent.
Iron Maiden's awesome.
And Raven are from England too, and I love Raven. And every time I hang out with Raven, they talk exactly. They're a little more Cockney, but
if Alex could talk like that, I'd be all over him. So.
Yeah, it's true. Well, so would everybody. It's hard enough to keep people off of Alex the way it is. Yeah, he's our poster boy.
Goodness.
Sure.
My apologies.
All right.
Yes. Tia, we really thank you for being here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to do this and helping people open their eyes to these new ideas, and actually very old ideas that are being brought into their lives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yes, ma'am. And again, anytime you want to come on, you let us know.
Okay, I will do.
Have a good night.
You too.
That accent is so great.
Oh my.